resource person for today, Mrs. Rekha Pachari. Ma'am, we are waiting for a few more minutes to let more participants join.
Absolutely. Not an issue, not an issue. Absolutely fine.
Thank you, ma'am. And presently, around 1,200 participants have joined, and we are just waiting for a few more.
Sure, very sure. Not an issue at all.
Thank you. Thank you. So good evening to all the participants and a grand welcome to our resource person for today, Mrs. Rekha Pachari. Today's topic on how to plan for bagless days in the school is going to be very, very interesting because, yes, we are all interested to know about how to keep the students engaged without their books and notebooks in the school. And if I can say, these bagless days will turn out to be the best and the most memorable days of the week for the students and for the teachers also, because teaching has to be non-monotonous. Over to you, Rekha ma'am.
So, a very good evening to all of you. I welcome you all to this session, and I thank you, ma'am, for inviting me for this session. As such, being with teachers is something I really love to, spend time with. So, let us start off without wasting any time. I'll just share my screen.
Yes, ma'am, your screen is visible.
Yeah, all right. Just a moment. Yeah.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Am I audible now?
Yes, now you're audible, ma'am.
I'm so sorry, it got disconnected in between.
No, no,
So
it's
just,
okay, right?
just put it in the slideshow mode. Is the screen visible too?
Yes, ma'am, the screen is visible.
Okay. So let me just start off. So we are going to have this session on how to plan bagless days in school. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Because there's some lag that I see.
No, ma'am, please carry on. It's coming out nicely.
All right. So let us start off without any more delay. I'm sorry for all the technical glitches that happened in between. So we are talking about bagless school concept. So bagless school encompasses teaching methodology involving complete interaction where children are encouraged to collaborate and help each other. Now we have to understand that our children are so used to coming to school with huge school bags on their back. What we are trying to look into is ways and means by which students can interact with each other with something that will keep them engaged and interested also. All these 2 years that they were at home was something that made them completely in a state of disconnection with the friends and who are part of the school, right? So now once they are back to school, we expect them to have enjoyable time, and we also want them to enjoy in school through activities that school can provide them, right? So bagless school actually is an encouraging move that has come up with new education policy, right? So schools are supposed to follow the bagless pattern of learning in which the child is free from the burden of heavy bags. So every day carrying that bag is something that they can always leave it for a few days and enjoy activities in school which are without the use of school bag and the stuff that they carry from home. So as per the new education policy, bagless days have to be part of every school calendar, right? So schools have to make sure that they make arrangement for students in such a way that 10 days in a year they get bagless activities that are done in school. This can include all kind of activities such as arts, quizzes, sports, and vocational crafts also. So National Education Policy 2020, what does it say on bagless days? It says that for the center recently instructed states to provide for at least 10 bagless days for children in classes 1 to 12 each month and introduce vocational training for students in classes 6 to 12 in line with the provisions of the National Education Policy 2020. So, 10 days in which the children are going to come to school without school bag, and we have to also ensure that from class 6 to 12 they are also getting to learn some vocational they're getting some vocational training too. The new education policy says that all students will participate in a 10-day bagless period where the teachers have to plan innovatively to engage children in fun-filled learning. So bagless days in school encourages fun-filled learning. Okay, so bagless learning is an experiential learning approach, and NEP ensures that every student shall participate in a 10-day bagless period sometime during grade 6 to 8, where they shall intern with local vocational experts such as carpenters, gardeners, potters, artists, etc. The policy says that every student will take a fun course during grade 6 to 8 that gives a survey and hands-on experience of a sampling of important vocational crafts such as carpentry, electric work, metal work, gardening, pottery making, etc., as decided by states and local communities and as mapped by local skilling needs. Keeping the significance of practical exposure in mind, students will be made to visit places of historical, cultural, and tourist importance. And to promote Bagless Days, sports activities will be held. So this is what NEP says, and this is what school is supposed to make sure that children get an exposure for. Right? So what happens is, in the classroom, it is generally the children and the teacher engaged in a two-way process where they are either listening or they are speaking. So what we are trying to do is, we are trying to bring them out of the classroom, and we are trying to make sure that these out of the classroom learning is encouraged. Sometimes there is a lot more learning that happens when they have an hands-on practice on something that they are trying to do. So any kind of activity that the school encourages besides just being with the school books is what we are looking at. Okay, so as part of no school bag day on every working Saturday, this is what most of the schools are trying, that every working Saturday is given as a no school bag day. And here what the education department is helping them to do is to organize co-curricular activities that can aid learning process. So many states have taken it into consideration, and they have also implemented it, and which is making life easy for children, and they are enjoying being part of the school, especially smaller children who like to be part of lot of activities other than studies. This is something that is a warm welcome from the students end also. Right? So in co-curricular activities, school is being instructed to arrange games and sports, recreational activities as part of the campaign to make school campus a joyous and conducive environment for learning. Many states are doing it, and especially I've heard about activities which are happening in the state of Karnataka, where I have family and friends working, and they have shared this with me, that a lot of activities each school has planned, and like the calendar is filled in such a way that children are getting many exposures. So it is not that they are just sitting in the school and doing some activity. Local artisans are called to school. They are giving demonstrations. They are helping the children to have hands-on practice. Children are being taken on field trips where they are going and learning certain things. So there is a lot that is happening, and schools have also been instructed to look into personality development of the students during formative years through extracurricular activities. Now, this is what the children are going to gain, right? So when they meet people from different areas of work, they realize the importance of the work that is happening, right? The day schedule remains the same, and the topics for the day are taught through interactive exercises, practical experiments, tests, quizzes, etc. While reducing the burden of carrying books to school, it also enhances the learning experience, as what they learn on this special day through different teaching methods leaves a stronger impression on their minds. So this is the plan that the schools are looking into, and this is what I would also suggest. In the coming slides, I will share a lot of activities that can be done in the classroom. So let us look at some activities meant for bagless activity days. So we have to ensure that learning is fun for children, learning is enjoyable for children, and they are getting to have exposure to lot of new things. To facilitate bagless learning, now what I suggest are these things. The schools must be equipped with facilities such as a well-stocked library. Now, why do I talk about library, my dear teachers? The reason is with the exposure to gadgets, with the exposure to the online learning methods that the children have taken liking for, the libraries are getting empty day by day, right? Libraries don't have that much of interest for the children. So what we have to do is, like, particular classes can be given days to be spent in the library. So they can be given tasks in the library, such as explore so and so kind of books in the library from the shelf which is shown here. The librarian has to make sure that the books are arranged topic wise, subject wise, class level wise, so that when you are having an activity in the library, children can enjoy it. So what you can do is put the children together in a group, like you can say 5 children in a group, and give them probably one set of shelf, or even what you can do is, in the seating arrangement that you have, you can keep a set of books for them, and then with a set of questions for them, ask them to find out names of books, author's name, information about the author. It can be a worksheet kind of an activity, or it can be an activity where students are reading it out to someone or something like that. So a well-stocked library can help the one of the classes to have fun activity in the library, right? Now, audio-visual room can be another room where the students can have activities. So I'm saying, when you're having it on a particular day for the entire school, how will you engage the children in different ways, right? So like when the children go to audio visual room, you can select the topic that has to be taught through visual support. So you can show them some documentary which is related to the topic that you have taught, or you can even show them some presentation that the tutor has created for the children. It can be something that is linked with the topic. Pre-planning has to be done for such a kind of learning method, because if you have to do it on a particular day and class wise, and every period has to be engaged, you have to make sure that every tutor is ready with her activity. So once the library activity is completed, the children move to another section of area where they will be doing an activity. Now, science lab can be utilized where some kind of experiment is being conducted to show some learning activity, right? Computer lab can have some other activity. Children can have hands-on practice on something that the children want to learn. Transportation facility should be there with the school, so that if you are planning for a field trip, that can be managed. So certain set of children can go on a field trip to close by places. It can be marketplace, it can be bank, it can be the city library, it can be the mall, it can be factories that you have tied up with. Anything, it can be a place of historical importance, it can be a garden that you are taking them to, so that, or a botanical garden basically, where they learn about plants. So the class has to be the day has to be planned well by the school beforehand. Then you can have multiple activities happening in the playground. You can have matches for children for certain sports that your school has facility for. Otherwise, you can have yoga sessions, you can have aerobic sessions, Zumba sessions, you can have lot of physical activities that can be arranged for the children. Next activity place can be from in the music room, dance room, your art room, your drawing room, the drawing classroom. So all these areas also can be utilized. Music with some new learning, dance with some new learning, art room with some new learning, and your craft room with some new learning planned beforehand for these activities. So bagless days should be observed to break the monotony of regular studies. You can't have the same learning happening one day, second day, third day, weeks after week, months after months, and children would not want to be part of such things, right? So what you do is encourage creative thinking and make learning more enjoyable with a plethora of activities to enhance their vocabulary in English and Hindi languages. Now, this is something that can be done in a classroom also. You can have a lot of activities in the classroom by dividing the class into, say, three sections. You can have quizzes happening in the class. You can have, on the spot, speech competition, different, competitions which can enhance their capability to come in front of the class and speak. So these are things that you can plan. Maths and EVS activities can be done. Garden activities can be done, taking them, planting trees, or, a teacher can even take up a project with certain classes, so that, place can be allotted for a particular class for growing plants, which can be kept under observation, or having facilities in the school for making eco-friendly campus. So you can think of lot of activities which can work in the school. And as I said, on a particular day, I say Saturdays, you can plan on any day that is comfortable to you, and you can make sure that your school is engaged that particular day with such activities. It is ideal to have one day dedicated for the entire school children, because that can be related with each other. Every child will feel so happy to be part of a school day where there is no formal studies happening, writing notes, copying from the board, listening to the teacher about the chapter that learning has to happen. But instead, anything that can be related to your chapter can be your activity, and you can make it an interesting one in the classroom. So what is the importance of co-curricular activities that you can use in the school? We must ensure both the right brain and the left brain development for all round development of the students. Make sure that they're creative also, and they're also learning something which is subjective, something which is informative, something which will make them go beyond their limits to understand things. So interesting ways of learning, like quizzes, debates, recitations, elocutions, music, dance, yoga, sports, dramatics, art and craft activities at least once in a week, when bagless days can be followed for all, is taking place. Outdoor learning is a fun way to sneak in learning activities with your school aged child. We must find time for exploration and building imagination. You can call people to school. Sometimes the best way is also to involve your ex students who have passed out, your alumni, the older students who are placed at different places, doing very well, to come back to school and engage the children for some time through something that they are very good at, right? This is one of the ways that you can do. Moreover, there are times when you can encourage activities like having a pets day in the school. So children, this again with the pre-planning, children can bring one of their pets to school. You have to allot an area for that and talk about their pet and allow them to interact with each other. This is something that you can do. If there are children in the classroom who have pets, you find out the number of children who have pets in the school, then you can invite vet to school, veterinary doctor to school, and help them know about how they can groom their pet. So this is something that you can talk. You can even tell the children how you can take care of stray animals, how you can support the stray animals, and what are the understandings required for providing support to stray animals. Whom can you contact in case you see a stray animal which is without food or water for days together? Who are the people who can help? Every city has NGOs who are working for stray animals, so please call them and make sure children interact with them. This is something which will make them interested. I'm telling you, children are very sensitive and they are close to nature also. So they will be able to connect with such people. Seasonal fruits. What are the seasonal fruits which are available during that particular time of the month that you're holding the session? You can have a fruit chart party in the school. You can have a salad party happening, fireless cooking happening in the school. You can even invite one of the parents to come and teach some good recipes to children, for which they can carry the raw material to school. So these are things that you can do. Debates can be held on topics of interest to the children, something that you want to convey to children, so you have a for and against being spoken about it, so that children hear about it, learn from it, what is right, what is wrong, what can be their judgment about things, right? Quizzes on every possible topic can be held. So it can be sports, it can be science, it can be general science, it can be general knowledge. You can actually have lot of topics for the entire year to conduct quizzes. Yoga is something now the yoga day is round the corner. You can plan some activity in the school for yoga day. Simple yoga exercises. You can invite a set of parents also to be part of it, part of the school activity. The entire school can do yoga together in different parts of the school campus. It is possible. And when I say yoga, it does not have to be the most difficult asanas that you have to do. You can choose simple ones that the children are comfortable with, right? Dramatics is such an interesting thing. You can actually convert so many chapters in your book into a drama. It can be of any subject. It can be taught, you can help children to create dialogues between different topics in the subject. It can be for sciences, it can be for social studies, it can be for Hindi, English, or any other language that you're talking about, right? So it is possible that you can create so many creative activities in the school. Music and dance, children love to have it. So dance form also, as I said, something which will interest them. Nobody can learn a formal classical dance in a day or two. So try to have something which will make them move. The body movements are there, and the music will help them to, move about and shake about. You can use any kind of music. If your school is, more keen on Indianized version, you can have Indian music for such activities. It is not necessary that children have to dance on only Western music. I don't say that. Depending upon your school culture, you can use any kind of music for children to enjoy. Again, fancy dress competitions can be held. Fancy dress competitions will help the children to look at others dressed up in a different way, with dialogues also that they are giving. Role play is such an interesting thing to do. Role play can be for any subject. Again, even subjects like physics, chemistry can be taken as role plays by explaining those particular terms in you are trying to give dialogues to those terms, and how do they explain about themselves. So that can also be done. There are n number of activities for children. Art and craft is the simplest thing. You can have take them for a nature drawing. Craft, our best out of waste is something that everybody does it, but you can pick things which are around in the classroom also, or tell them to carry something from their room, from their house, without buying anything. So everything should be available around them, and you should use it to create something. So these are activities that you can do. Then STEM activities can be involved, wherein you can call experts from outside to explain things to them. See, every budget that the school has, whether the school has a lot of budget or a limited budget, activities can be planned. It depends upon what the school can provide as infrastructure from their end, and what can you support your students with. This is what you have to make sure. Now, when we talk about field trips are designed to enhance what children are being taught in the classroom. The goal is to let students see, touch, and experience things that would otherwise just be a line in a textbook or a picture on a classroom wall. So anything that you see around is not a learning. Anything that they touch and feel and experience themselves is learning. So many children are largely visual learners, which means they are more likely to retain information and understand concepts when they come face to face with them, right? Offer an opportunity for students to get exposure to real people and events, opportunity to make connection with others, visit people and places that they are not normally exposed to during the school days, because children don't get an opportunity to go to places like what you would plan for them. So you can take them to botanical gardens, community theater, the great outdoors, maybe places of interest within your city. I wouldn't know, like if you have a river in your city, if you have a any historical monument in your city. It depends on the city that you belong to and what is it that you can show them, right? Museums, virtual field trips are also possible. If you're not taking them, then in the AV room you can put it on the screen and take them on a virtual field trip also, depending upon what is available to you, how you can work it out. A field trip allows students and teachers to get out of the formal context of the classroom and cultivate shared experiences. So when children go for field trip, what happens? They carry tiffin with them, they are going with friends, they are excited about the whole thing, right? So these activities also help them in lot of the other skill developments, such as having cooperation between them, concern for each other. These values also develop when children are going out together, right? So benefits of school trips: school students are exposed to outside activities periodically through visits to places of historical, cultural, and tourist importance, including monuments, museums, meetings with local artists and craftsmen, and visits to higher educational institutions in their respective village, tehsil, district, city, town, or state. You can encourage them to be part of it. See, in this picture, one of the pictures, the tutor has simply taken them to a letter box. You can take them to a post office also. You can actually call people from the post office to come and speak to the children, because again, letter writing is dying. Children don't write letters. We must make them write letters. Tell them to post it in the letter box themselves. Call a postman to the school. Let him speak to the children about how he works. You can take them to the post office and show them the different kinds of stamps that are available. Again, having hobby to collect stamps. All these things can be explained to children. Taking the children to fire station is another example. See, anything that is in your city that can help them to understand things. This is where it need not be a place of high beauty, that the students should be experiencing beautiful building, beautiful this and that. No, everything can be simple. You just have to take them there. Sometimes even going to the vegetable market is enough, because they get to see different kinds of vegetables, because today children are fighting the difficulty of eating junk food. So what is not junk, what is it that is available around you that can help you to have a good health? So that is also possible. Call a fruit vendor to the school, call a vegetable vendor to school with all kinds of vegetables. Make a vegetable salad or a chart there in front of them. All these things are possible, my dear teachers. It is just a simple effort that you have to make in the class. Now what you can do is, you can also, as I told you, dance can be an activity, handwriting competitions can be held. Different kinds of handwriting can be encouraged. You can teach them calligraphy, abacus, Vedic maths, spoken English. Now, not necessarily English, any language can be spoken. Martial art activities like karate, judo. Now, there are one-day sessions for, self-defense activities also. You can always get in touch with your martial art tutor of the school, or in the city, in the vicinity. You will definitely find people who can do such sessions for you in the school. The peer group in each class, where 4 to 5 groups can be formed with equal strength, and one student from each group nominated as captain to lead the activities related to academic and co-curricular activities. See, so these things are very, very functional, easy to manage, and something that you can do week after week. See, if it is 10 days in a month, or a 10 days in, a quarter, or 10 days in 6 months, you can actually plan the way it works for you. It is simply to make sure that you are able to have such activities in the school, and teachers can easily plan them if they have the inclination or dedication for it. Sports activities, so many of them. As I said, indoor to outdoor sports, anything is possible. Students can take interest in sports, because the sports again has a lot of impact on physical and mental health of the children, right? Today we are fighting the biggest fear of children going through obesity, right? Lot of children sitting at home during the pandemic time have been hogging and eating wrong kind of food, which has made their lives miserable, right? So this is something that you should make sure students are learning from. So what happens while playing any kind of sports? There is a lot of learning that happens. There is a mood elevation that happens. There is again, you can ensure students becoming very, very active. Sports, which is a group activity, will help them to interact with each other, need to have patience, need to have wait for their turn. All these things are learned by them, and it improves their because they have a lot of physical activities, improves their sleep quality also, if you're doing it regularly, right? So sports is important. Make sure children get a lot of activities in the school. And as I said, depending upon the weather, if it is too hot, you can have indoor sports happening. And if it is a weather which is manageable, you can have outdoor sports also, depending upon the time of the hour that you want to choose. Now, different other activities like woodwork, electric work, solar energy projects, pottery can be done in school with the help of local carpenters, potters, and electricians. Simple things, as I told you, you will find people in your vicinity itself to come and help you with. You can call a tailor to school, and show the children how clothes are stitched. Teach them simple things, boys and girls who are growing up can learn how to stitch a button, how to do little bit small repair work for themselves. It is easy, and they can do it. And electric work, simple work, depending upon age group of the students, can be managed in the class. And this is what the children can learn. Projects can be made in groups in the class with learning that has completely to do with the topics of your chapters. Okay. So learning in school without carrying school bags is possible, my dear teachers. Understand that it is not a difficult thing. It is purely on your interest, availability of infrastructure that you can enjoy yourself with the children. So when you do co-curricular activities, what is it that the children learn? There is a lot of interaction which is happening. Now, co-curricular activities can be speaker series, you can have case studies happening, workshops happening, experiential learning activities, business plans, internships happening, and competitions and student clubs can be part of your co-curricular activity. Cooperative learning happens when you are trying to put them in a group, so they learn how to be fair with each other, they learn how to share their things, they learn to think, they learn to collaborate, they learn to work together, they learn leadership skills also. Because as I tell you, when you create group activities, the leader should be changed every week so that everybody gets a turn to become a leader and take instructions, right, and follow instructions. So activity based learning is something which really makes a lot of difference in children's lives. So sports activities, co-curricular activities, experiential learning, wherein they are hands-on learning is happening, activity based learning wherein educational process is made easy through different kinds of activities that the children do in the class, right? So these are again that you can involve in the class. So understand, my dear teachers, the children of today will make the India of tomorrow. The way we bring them up will determine the future of the country. What we learn with pleasure, we never forget. This is something you have to drill it into your minds, and every school should understand that whatever is learned with pleasure is never forgotten. Throughout your life you will remember. I'm sure you also must be remembering certain teachers who must have taught you differently while you were kids. So make sure that this is also given to our children, right? So we need to make education so much fun that students can't help but learn. It becomes important for them to learn because everything that you do with them will make them learn, right? Anything that you do with them will make them learn, right? The more you make it easy for your kids, the more you remove the struggle of unnecessary learning for them. Learning has to be easy for children. Learning has to be something where children feel comfortable, and it need not be the monotonous way of teaching in the classroom that has to be practiced. You can always plan something which is very different from what a school teacher generally does in the classroom. School life is the time to have unlimited fun while learning, is what you have to show them. Make sure that these activities that you plan in the classrooms, outside the classroom, within the four walls of your school, or on a trip that you take them, is a memorable one for them. It becomes easy for them to connect with daily life issues. You can ask them to collect information in such a way that they don't realize that this is because they have to learn from this, right? It happens automatically. So no school bag day is compulsory, my dear teachers. Make possibly Saturdays, this is what we are trying to tell you. No bag days can be joyful Saturdays. और कलाम के जन्मदिन पर ना बस्ता ना कोर्स की किताबें, पूर्व राष्ट्रपति एपीजे कलाम की जयंती यानी 15 अक्टूबर को मुंबई और आसपास के स्कूलों में वाचन प्रेरणा दिवस मनाया जाता है एक्चुअली. So this is something, this is happening. And Abdul Kalam always said that children must get opportunity to learn through different ways that is around them. So make school masti ki pathshala, make your Saturdays masti ki pathshala for children, and let children wait to come to school. Let's make a happy day for children in school without school bags. As I said, these activities that I'm speaking about in general is something that you will make the child's life better with. So you can actually divide the children's activities based on their classes. Some classes, higher classes, lower classes, depending upon the classes, you can plan the activities. Smaller classes, you can have activities like fancy dress competitions for them, because it is easy for them, and parents are also enthusiastic to work them for work with them. So like no fire cooking, this is an activity which children definitely love. Sports activities, singing activities, Zumba activities, dancing activities, something physical fitness activities for smaller children. Higher classes can have something which is to do with their learning, experiments happening. They're trying to collect information by visiting certain places. Sending them to factory visit or industry visit is something that you can do with them. Sending them for a visit to any historical monument is good for them, because they will be able to relate with the learning that is happening. So, my dear teachers, with all that I have told you, I'm sure there will be a lot of understanding at your end, and I'm sure you will be able to make your classroom experience a very good one. And every subject can be correlated with these activities. As I said, whether it is maths can have its own activities planned. So, when you go for a visit to a local market, also weighing is something that children see. Money management, money exchange, how does that happen? Cost price, selling price, so many things children can learn from it. Again, measurements can be taught to the children within the school premises, or wherever you take them. These are things that you can do with them. Scientific experiments within the laboratories, in a hall, in the classroom, or in an open area can be conducted very comfortably. Collection of items can be done and brought to school, and children can discuss simple things of, like different kinds of leaves, different kinds of flowers, different kinds of food grains. These are things that can be done in lower classes without any effort, right? Higher classes, as I said, call for people. Local artisans can come to school. They can deliver their interaction through their action that is being shown in front of them. More sophisticated artisans can even show them their presentations, and they can learn from them. So there is a lot that you can do, and depending upon the ideologies of the school that your school follows, you can ensure that activities can be planned. So this is about the session that I planned for you. If there are any questions, I am ready to take them in the chat box. If the chat box is active for the teachers, um, then I can take up questions. Or if there is any question from is there any question that you would want to ask? I'm open to questions.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a very wonderful and informative session for all of us, because I think gradually now the schools will have to plan well for the backlist days.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you, because without such fun-filled days in school, I don't think it would be easy for us to keep the children happy in the classrooms. They have already got a lot of exposure to different kind of ideas sitting at home for the past 2 years, and they've been, waiting to be back in school. So coming back to school should be should be a happy feeling for them. And as I said, even once a week, once a month, whichever way you can plan out, teachers can actually, plan so many things for children. So many things. As I said, every subject, every area of the school can be utilized for this kind of an activity. And I'm telling you with experience that children learn much better when you have when you expose them to such activities. And there is a scope of learning in every activity that is done in the school. And as I said, parents can also be part of some of the activities wherein you can invite them to school based on their capacities, their capabilities, their areas of interest, their area of work. And within the school family itself, you will have so many people sharing information with you. So this is a possible thing, and I'm sure all of you who are teachers will be able to make sure that at least you as a teacher will make this this attempt of making bagless days successful in your schools.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Thank you
So
so
if
much.
anybody have any questions, you have to clear your doubts. Madam is here for a few minutes more. You
Yes.
can ask madam, or you can put your questions in the chat box, which we will carry forward to madam in the real time.
So
I think, ma'am, they don't have any more questions to ask
all right.
because your session was self-explanatory and it was wonderful. So, ma'am, you can disconnect if you so wish.
All right. Thank you so much. It was definitely my pleasure being part of this session. Thank you, ma'am, for inviting me. Thank you, dear teachers, for sparing time to be part of this session. It was completely my pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you, and God bless each one of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, the attendance will be marked automatically if you are there in the session, and the certificates will be allowed to the participants if you have attended the session for the minimum time which has been already informed to you. So if you have no more questions, no more doubts, you can come out of the meeting.